Welcome to Thursday's WW Walk to Wellness. I am Josie Gibson and I'm going to be joined by one of the loves of my life. She's my mental health hero. She's my favourite TV psychologist, and what she's been doing for everybody, well, in life and over this lockdown is just absolutely incredible. We're going to be talking all things self-love, all things healing. I'm joined by our favourite TV psychologist, Emma Kenny. Emma Kenny, are you there?
I am here, my love. How are you doing?
Oh, I love you so much. I love you so much.
I love you back.
Do you know what? I was doing really well. Oh, thank you. I was doing so well, and basically it just started hammering it down, which is why I love doing these walks to wellnesses, because there is no going back.
We've had everything. We've had snow, storms, everything this week. So you're in good company, Josie.
Brilliant. Now, if you cannot get out of the house, there is nothing stopping you from walking around your living room, walking around your garden, walking on a treadmill. As long as you're with us, we're all in this together. Now, I'm going to hand you over to Pip. Pip, are you there? She's our community manager. Pip, you there?
Hi, guys. Yes.
Hi.
Hello, Pip.
Hi, both.
Hello. Now, Pip's going to run you through a few rules, a few house rules, and she's going to talk a bit about our charity. Pip, over to you.
Thanks, Josie. Yes, indeed. So let us know who's walking with us today in the chat. And for every walk that you join with us, you can clock up steps and earn coins using the free app Sweatcoin. Every coin you earn and choose to donate to the Trussell Trust will help them ensure that no families go hungry during lockdown. So please sign up to Sweatcoin for free, clock up your steps and earn coins to donate. And for every person that takes part, WW will also be contributing to the Trussell Trust too. And those housekeeping rules today, please don't travel outside your local area while walking with us. We know you might be watching your phone, but please be mindful of your route. And if you have any questions for Emma and Josie, feel free to write them in the chat and we'll do our best to get them answered. And finally, these walks are live, so we apologise if there are any connection issues, but we'll do our best to bring everyone back together as soon as possible. Over to you guys.
Thank you so much, Pip. So much chat. I cannot wait for this chat. Now we're going to be talking all things self-love, which can make a few people like squirm really. But Emma, tell me what self-love means to you from like a psychologist's point of view.
I mean, I suppose that the reason it makes you squirm is because people don't really think about what the meaning is. They kind of see it quite Americanized, which is a good thing. Americans have quite a lot of emotional literacy. But when we talk about self-love, the reality is you don't really get to love anybody fully unless you connect and love yourself. It's really important to recognize that the relationship that you have is always majorly with the self. And pretty much as soon as you assume the ability to actually connect with that and enjoy it and like it, even if you can just do self-like initially, then the consequences of that in the long term are that you've just got so much more to give other people. So my thing about teaching self-love is to say that's actually making you be able to be more to everybody else in your life. And also the thing about self-love is it's about perfect acceptance of your imperfections because they make you unique. I always give the example that every single human being has been given a mark by Mother Nature to say, you are amazing, you're unique, you're a masterpiece. Out of 7.7 billion people in the planet, you get one fingerprint. Like Mother Nature doesn't do that because there's something wrong with you. She does that because there's something blessed about you. So I think when you start thinking about self-love like that, it stops feeling faddy and it starts feeling quite common sense orientated. So I always like to think about things in common sense. If you don't love you, then how can you ever expect anybody else to truly love and accept you either?
I love that saying. Do you know what? Someone told me that a few years ago, and that's exactly what she said. If you don't love yourself, how do you expect anybody else to love you? Or if you don't want to hang around with yourself, how do you expect anybody else to want to hang around with you? I just absolutely love that. And what else? Oh, you hit the nail on the head there. When you think about it,
yeah, I think that one of the problems that we've got is when we start using terms like that, people think, well, I don't love myself. Does that make me unlovable? And it's like, no, it's not that you don't love yourself. You just haven't fully got to know yourself. I think in the Western world, we've got really used to focusing just on like things that aren't right. But part of what isn't right with us, part of us makes us who we are. So it's almost like before you can ever move to another position and place, you have to be like, okay, this is who I am. I accept myself fully. I love myself fully. I know there might be things about me that aren't in other people's perspectives and opinions perfect, but that's part of the quality that makes me me. And the point about the self is, don't try and ever be anybody else, because somewhere within you there is this amazing opportunity to just be fully present with you. And it's not that people won't love you if you don't love yourself. Of course people will love you, but you'll never be able to accept the love on the level that they wish for you to have it. And that's the deal with all of this. It's kind of like, you can't change anything about the self without first accepting the self, because otherwise you'll always feel like you're doing it for other reasons, for other people, for other purpose, and you won't actually have connected with the bit that matters, which is, how do you mean to you and what can you accept more about yourself? And then that doesn't mean you have to stay in that situation. That gives you an impetus to change and move and evolve and grow and feel amazing about yourself, but it comes from you always.
And I think if you love yourself, you attract the right people. You get into better relationships.
Absolutely. You cannot have the best relationship possible with anybody unless you really connect with the self and love the self, because basically a relationship is a reflection of how you feel about yourself. If you're in a bad relationship and you feel good about yourself, you're like, I'm not staying in this bad relationship, go away. But if you're in a great relationship and it reflects the self, it's like, that's when magic happens. And I think that it's never too late. I also think that people get to a point where I always think is a bit like learned helplessness. They get to a position where they think, well, nothing's ever changed before, so nothing's ever going to change again. And actually that's not true, because it's that classic saying is, if all you've ever done is what you've always done, then all you're going to get is what you've always got. And the deal with mental and physical and emotional and psychological change is it's ever changing. It's like, you learn things new all the time. Why do you think you can't apply that to the self as well?
Do you know what? I think I've learned to love myself with age. It has come with age. But now I think I've learned to love myself a little bit too much. And I'm just like, nah, too good for you. Too good for you. Too good for you.
That's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing, Josie. As long as it's not a defense mechanism, you're all right. As long as it's about the fact that you've got high standards, then that's cool.
I've had some terrible relationships, Emma. Terrible. And it's because I didn't love myself. I didn't have it in me.
A lot of good people, a lot of really good people are kind, compassionate, forgiving. And that means that they see the world through their eyes, meaning that when they get into bad situations like that, they just imagine that they can see the best in the other human being. So actually, some of that comes down to people just being really good human beings. My job is to help people see that, yes, they are sensitive, they are compassionate, and they are forgiving, but that's much better placed in an area in a relationship where you get that back.
So one of our listeners now are thinking, well, how do I start? How do I start this journey of loving myself? What can I do? What tools can I put in place? What would you say to them?
I think one of the first problems that people have is a lot of us focus on the outside these days. It's kind of become part of the trademark of the way that success is viewed in, let's say, modern media. And it means nothing. I mean, the reality is, whilst it's great to physically be in shape, I mean, I am the first person who says that mental, physical, emotional health matter. So the way that you feel about your body, what you put in your body, what you do with your body, all contributes to how you feel about your mind. But when it comes down to how do you start? Well, you start by seeing all the things that are amazing about you, the unique traits. Like, what is it that you are different to another human being like? So is it that you're a great artist, photographer, compassionate, maybe you bake great cakes? It's about finding that special part of who makes you you, and then from there connecting with it and really going, well, this is why I'm special. And when you connect with that little bit of you that makes you super special, you can start extrapolating that to other areas of your life. If it comes down to you thinking, well, I'm never going to be what I want because I don't look like A, B, and C, then you've really got to shift that mindset. Because the truth is, you are more than the way that you look. So when we think about our bodies, we should be thinking about, what do I do? How do I act? What do I eat? What exercise do I do? What meditation programs do I follow? To make sure that whatever I do, I get the best out of this vehicle without focusing too much on what other people's perceptions of the perfect vehicle is, if that makes sense.
Yeah. What do you love most about you?
I think I'm really honest and I'm really compassionate and I stand in my truth, even when my truth is painful to stand in, so that other people have permission to do the same. And I think that I wake up every day and look in the mirror and I know I'm not wearing a mask. So I do think that people, when they're starting their kind of wellness journeys, they really have to think about that. It's really exhausting if you're constantly worried about what everybody else thinks about you. It's much more inviting in life when you just say to yourself, my job isn't to be popular. My job isn't to impress people. My job isn't to be a pleaser. My job isn't meant to say yes to everybody so that I look like a nice person. My job is to say, what do I need? What makes me thrive? How do I ensure that I take care of myself so that I'm in the best space to take care of the people that I love? And so that I invite only good stuff into my world. And when bad stuff arrives, I know how to reject it.
Yeah.
Those are the things that I think make such a difference to life. And listen, Josie, I'm not saying it's easy. For people listening now who might be at the very beginning of their wellness journey, don't think that it's necessarily a problem because you're struggling. Accept that part of getting to a position of wellness is there's some pain involved. And it's good. You learn amazing stuff in the bad times. I've never yet met anybody in all my years of therapy who've gone, had a great time, learnt loads. It's always, wow, this was really hard. This was really tough. But as I started moving through that pain and I started learning about myself, I realized that every single moment of it to get to this point wasn't just worth it. It just had such power. So I think that it's helping people to see that, things can be a struggle, particularly now. It's hard times right now, but people can still make positive changes, even in the most challenging of times. And I think the most positive gains you ever get come from the most challenging of times.
Do you know what people go, oh, like, what's your tips on losing weight? And my first tip would be, you've got to learn to love yourself. Because if you don't love yourself, you don't think that you're worthy of putting nice things in your body. You don't think you're worthy of treating your body well, and body is your main priority. But if you don't love that, then it's not a very good start. So I think the number one, if you're going on a weight loss journey, thing to do is you got to learn to love yourself, because then you're good to yourself.
I think part of it is just that sense of, when did we learn not to? I mean, when did
so let's talk about habits.
Bad habits.
Any tips on changing these bad habits?
First of all, most people haven't got bad habits. They've just got behavior triggers and reactions based on what they're dealing with. So in my experience, whenever I'm working with people who might want to change their body for a whole host of reasons, they might want to put weight on, they might want to build weight and muscle, they might want to lose weight, they might have issues with eating. My job is really to help them see how food and exercise plays into their world, both positively and negatively. So a classic is somebody who feels sad, and it feels not very nice to feel sad. So when you feel sad, you get this feeling and you think, oh, right, avoid it. So you go and get a glass of wine, or you go and eat a piece of chocolate cake, not because you're lazy, not because you're greedy, not because you're broken, not because you're failing, just because you're tired trying to distract yourself from that kind of feeling. And my job is to help people say, you know what, that feeling that you've got, it's not bad. It might feel like it feels bad, but it's actually a prompt. It's telling you what you need to know. So when you sit with that feeling and think, what is this negative feeling? And then you go, hang on, I feel sad. I feel really sad. So instead of then going and eating a cake or drinking a wine, you say, sadness calls for soothing. Who can I call? Who can I say, I feel sad too? And you answer the emotion. Or you go for the red wine. At the end of the day, you've been working hard, you deserve it. And actually then you stop and you say to yourself, hang on a minute, this isn't about that. This is because I feel really angry about a conversation I had on Zoom at 4:00 this afternoon with my manager. And I don't need to have red wine. I need to go and calm down. I need to take myself away from this space. I need to do some wellness work. I need to go and check in with a coach. I need to do something that shifts my state but listens to the feeling. The minute that we start filling ourselves that way, becoming more self-full, the more we are able to really connect with what we need in the moment. So as opposed to avoidance and distraction, we sit with the feeling, we process the feeling, we create a strategy with the feeling, we move through it. And we don't need any of those things that we beat ourselves up with. Because if a behavior that you take place and take part within then consequentially makes you feel worse, then the behavior is one that needs to shift and change, not because you're broken, not because you're wrong, but because it's outlived its purpose in your life.
You are just like a breath of fresh air. I can listen to you absolutely forever. So I've woke up and believe we know lots of people in this scenario right now. In probably seen our darkest time. I've woke up and I'm having one of those really grey, dark days. You know, one of those days you just feel like there's no way out of. How do I get out of that?
So first of all, do exactly what you've done. Acknowledge it. Say to yourself, okay, I've woken up, I'm feeling really down, things feel bleak, I'm anxious, and it's okay to just stop and say, yeah, that's how I feel. And then take a pause, take a breath. Ideally do something, I know there'll be a lot of coffee lovers out there, but ideally do something that doesn't involve something like having a coffee or having something sugary, because that's going to add to that kind of cycle of not feeling that great. Maybe make yourself a glass of hot water and lemon, or a peppermint tea, or something that just kind of makes you go, okay, I've got some time to take some space. And then recognize how much of this feeling is you and how much of this feeling is the world around you. A lot of the time, people who overeat, they are internalizers. They swallow all the negativity. They don't feel able to express the pain that they're feeling. And so my job is to help you go, okay, let's stop. Let's reset. The day isn't a write-off. Sit yourself down. Think about 3 things that you're really grateful for. Think about 1 thing you're really struggling with today, but you know you're going to learn from. Acknowledge it. Really think about those affirmations, and then say to yourself, you know what? It's okay to not feel good. I'm being taught to move through the state to feel positive. And then if you want to call a friend, or you want to watch a meditation stream, or you want to get outside, even if it's for a 10-minute walk in the fresh white light, that is enough to help you start going, you know what? Even in the darkest of times, I still have my micro control. I can still do things that make a difference. And also remember, at this moment in time, very few of us are skipping out of bed. So normalize it. A lot of people aren't doing that. They're talking to me constantly as if they are the problem. And my job is to say, listen, 60% of what you're feeling isn't you. You're internalizing this world. Detox from social media. Stop listening to the news for the world. Just think about how you can be around, whether that's virtually or physically, people that make you feel inspired and good. Listen to other people who've been on similar journeys. Accept that you're not alone in these feelings. Once you realize that part of this experience is just being human, you go, this is okay. This is not just about me. And I am a bit obsessed with stuff like what we put in our body. I am. You know, I own that. So people listening to me, I own it for lots of reasons, but one of the fundamental reasons that I own what I do with my body is when I was younger, I had a really severe eating disorder. And part of that taught me that my body is meant to get me from A to B in the best way possible. And I have to nurture it and love it. And I have to give it every single thing that it needs so it can be the best possible for me, for my children, for my partner, for my parents. And you know what? Once you connect with that and you're like, what I put in my body has an impact on how I feel about my mind. And suddenly you feel like the whole experience isn't about what I always say. Diet's not what you eat. You know, diets aren't what you shouldn't eat. They're what you should eat. A diet is what you eat. It's not about starvation. It's not about any of that. It's about re-education and excitement. It's about knowing that you can enjoy food, love food, and really connect with that on a really, really healthy level. And remind yourself constantly that every single day gives you an abundance of opportunities to do that.
I think we got our priorities wrong sometimes, haven't we?
Yes.
If we started just at the simplest things, it's like what you put in your body can have a whole new effect on your mood, your mindset, your behaviors. And it's big triangle. Your health should be right at the top. Health should be right
you
at the
should
top. But
be
people
at the
forget
top. Yeah,
that.
yeah, exactly. I think, don't you think though as well? I'm just going to say for parents as well. Parents really struggle because parents are so busy doing so many things these days, and it's really important to recognise that they're all doing the best. You know, parents are busy, time short, time starved, running and reacting, and not actually getting time for themselves. So another big part of prioritising is prioritising you time-wise and making sure you've got time to plan, prepare, portion control, connect. Love yourself comes from understanding what you deserve. And I think that at the moment, there's a lot of negativity and hostility and division. And we've got to kind of see past that and see that the more we are positive in our world, the more we are positive with our bodies, the more that we put positive things in our bodies, we counteract all of that. You know, the world is still beautiful, even when it's a problem, you know?
I absolutely love that. The world is so beautiful. But going back, the parents, they're homeschooling. I'm not homeschooling because Reggie's only 2, but seriously, I've had to walk out of room a few times and I feel I just get this guilt, this sense. I've never felt guilt like it because he's only got me to interact with when he's at home. So what would you say to any mums out there feeling that guilt, that dark guilt?
I mean, whether you're a mother or a father, just drop it. Drop the guilt. Listen, I did not train as a teacher for a reason. I didn't train as a teacher because I knew I would be a terrible teacher. Therefore, my boys don't have a teacher at home. They do their online lessons, and I'll assume that they'll catch up when they get back to school. And everyone will understand the fact that their world has been impacted on this way. So I think the most important thing is prioritize your time accordingly. Do not wear yourself so thin that you feel like you are going to lose your mind at the end of the day. It's far better to do 45 minutes of real quality engagement with your child than 5 hours where you're constantly on at them and nagging and getting yourself in a state whilst trying to do your own job and bring money into the household whilst dealing with all the other things around you. I say take the foot off the accelerator where homeschooling is concerned. Trust that your child will be okay because they are not alone. There are millions exactly like them. And yes, you will see that online somebody's saying that their 3-year-old is speaking Mandarin and Italian, but they're not normal examples. Don't go for the mythical examples. Go for the real ones. Look at people like me who just openly admit we're doing none of it. Because the thing is, you've got so much to do these days that you have to find the way of prioritizing. And children don't need stress. You don't need stress. Far better to come to a conclusion that you'll give the best of you for a lesser period of time than the worst of you for a long period of time.
I love that. The best of you for a lesser period of time. I love that. Yeah, that is great. I've been overwhelmed by guilt because obviously the kids aren't seeing other people. What impact do you think this has got on the children, Anne?
So first of all, I'm not going to pretend for 1 minute that I know the long-term impact on children because I haven't got methodology to adapt or time to reflect. What I will say is developmentally, I would imagine for younger children, yes, they're not as socialised and that will bring worries around parents. Equally, there are people who live in Northern Territory, for example, in Australia. They live on land where they see people very rarely, very rarely. They have the flying doctor come in and the kids are great. They're not struggling. So it's like,
I didn't think about that.
Children are really adaptable. And don't get me wrong, there will be some children who are more anxious about socialising. There will be some children who've had more of their education impacted on. But you know what? When did you last ask somebody who did well in their GCSEs? I mean, life isn't like that. We believe it for a period of time. And I think parents get beaten up a little bit around that whole academia stuff. But when you think about Jeff Bezos, he started selling books in a warehouse. He's now the richest man in the world. Can we all take a breath as parents to understand that our children will be unique, beautiful individuals? And as long as you love them, feed them, make them feel secure, remind them of their worth, notice their intrinsic individuality and gifts, they'll thrive no matter what.
I need all the tips I can get. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
What's your top 3 or 5 tips to get us through lockdown, would you say?
There's a bit of me that wants to go comic on this about how to manage, but I'm not going to. The best tips that I'd say is, first of all, know if you're struggling, that's completely normal. Accept it,
Yeah.
acknowledge it, but do what you can to shift that state by concentrating on the micro control that you have over your own life. What you put in your body, what exercise you do every day, who you talk to moan at, how you compassionately bring up your children so that you feel like you're a good parent. Secondly, I would definitely say, if you're thinking to yourself, I'm not happy with my body, I really want to start getting to like myself, you have to stop seeing yourself as a body. You have to start seeing yourself as a whole. You are this incredible human being. You're here for the breath of consciousness that we're alive. You get to be part of this incredible natural world. And yes, it's imperfect, but it still has so much collateral beauty. And your body is part of that. Don't see it as a failure. Don't see it as going against you. See it as something that you can work with. Set yourself some goals. They can be as small as you want. It might be to change the way that you eat your daily your breakfast, all the way through the fact that you might do some exercise in the evening, do a stream, go on WW, figure that out. Number 3, definitely practice gratitude. Gratitude is everything. It's the one thing that I constantly do no matter where I am. Even in my darkest of times, I'll find myself saying what I'm grateful for. 4, we've talked about this with WW before. We've done it with this morning. But I think that the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique's really good. I think that when you're anxious, when your kids might not be doing what they're meant to do. I've got teenagers. I live it. I live kids not doing what they're meant to do. I do that. What 5 things can I see? 4 things I can hear? 3 things I can feel? 2 things I can touch? 1 thing I can taste? I really bring it back to that moment. And then finally, ask yourself this. Like, who do I truly wish to be for me in this world? Like, create the vision, because that vision, that's you when you've made the changes. And that's one of the most important things that I always used to teach people when they came to me, when they had real problems with eating disorders. I used to get them to create this vision board to identify with who they would be once they shifted the way that they ate. And the minute that they made that decision, I said, you're there. You have to be patient, because that vision that you see and the amount of time it's going to take you to get there will annoy you, but you've already achieved it. The minute you make those shifts, the minute you make those changes, that body that you want, that mind that you want, that health that you want, it's achieved. You just have to sustain it, which is why things like WW are really important, because so much research shows that realistically, having people around you to help you coach, to get buddies, to make you feel part of a community, to remind you when you're having a bad day that it's cool, it's okay, we've all been there, but to help you say it's never an excuse to give up. Wow, that makes a difference. And right now, when all we've got is really the virtual world, it's a godsend in so many ways.
Emma, I just think you're the most fabulous person I think I've ever spoken to in my life.
I know, but you're really biased. You're massively biased, but it's okay. I'll take it. I'll take it.
No, I feel, do you know what, after talking to you, I just feel I've got so much gratitude for the time that I've been able to spend with my son, being healthy, having a roof over my head. And I just, all I'm going to do from this day forward is give out love, because when you give out love, that's all you're going to get in return, I think. But we've got to go for some questions. Pip,
Yes, we have got a couple of questions in the chat. Thanks, guys. So firstly, Josie, one for you. Lynette is asking how you're feeling since you started your WW journey, and has your positivity outlook improved?
Yeah, I feel great, because I was put in a wrong, I just went down a bit of a hole before, a bit of a road, and I wasn't being accountable for what I was putting in my body. It's making me feel crap. But now I'm putting the goodness back in my body, and like Emma said, you treat your body well, you put the goodness back in your body, you feel good. And I've got to say, I feel great, and I'm doing much more exercise. Don't say, I'm actually quite enjoying it.
That's amazing to hear. One for Emma. We've got a message from Michelle who says, my 13-year-old daughter has got to the stage where she doesn't want to go out. She hasn't been out for over a week, not even for a walk with me. Do you have any advice?
So first of all, teenagers are at a really primary part of their brain development. So even though, you know, you see a lot of brain development through childhood, still in the teens, all the way up to 25, in fact, we see great brain development. And at 13, what we also see is a shift of emotional intelligence understanding. Actually, 9-year-olds understand better how they feel than a 13-year-old. She's got hormones, she's got peer issues, she's got working online, she's got worries about school, she's got a whole heap of concerns about the future, and every single one of them is justified. So first of all, instead of trying to say, oh, come on, let's just get on with it, recognize that there is a state before that. It's about going, sit with her in a room, take her a nice drink, sit down and say to her, you know what? I know it's tough right now. I understand what it was like to be a teenager, but I understand that your teenage experience is so different from mine. But as a teenager, what I found really helpful was recognizing that talking about the way that I feel, even when I don't really know what that is, helped me to feel a little bit easier. And also, I want you to come out on a walk with me. We're going to go somewhere that maybe from her childhood. I want you to walk side by side with her. And as you walk side by side, I want you to just get her to attend to what's around her. It might be the birds in the sky. It might be the sounds of nature. It's about helping her connect with the here and now. And then from that side-by-side communication, which has been proven to be excellent in reducing conflict and increasing close bonds, it'll just help her to start having that sense of coming out of herself. Now, listen, it's hard for teenagers now. We cannot deny it. They're having the worst time ever. And I think that they've been treated in a way, not because of anybody's fault, but because of the situation, in a very difficult way and manner. And they're struggling with the world. So I think we just have to reassure them that that's okay, that they feel it. If there's any worries on a big scale, if you start thinking, this is getting a bit more problematic, then it's worth giving your GP a call, just having a conversation. It'll probably be absolutely fine, but it just means that you've reassured yourself that you've done everything. But for the most part, she just needs that TLC, that reminder that it's hard, and also that recognition that you're by her side.
Oh, that's great.
Thanks, Emma. That's great. We've probably got time for one more quick one. I know we're a little bit over, but just one more for the both of you. What does me time mean to you, and how do you unwind?
You want to go first, Josie?
Oh, me time for me, because I'm just trapped in the house with a 2-year-old most of the time. Me time is when he goes to nursery, and I'm not in a rush. I can do everything in my own time. I go and run myself a nice bath, or I have a shower for longer than 10 minutes, and I just totally do a mask. I just totally look at myself, might paint my toenails, and just chat to some friends. And nothing is on anybody else's time. Everything's on my time, and I love it.
For me, I would say I do a lot of meditation, and I do a lot of time where I just don't have any social media. I turn off screens. I don't watch TV at night. Lovely dog down here just giving me a hello. Hello, gorgeous. And I walk my dogs, and I hang out with my kids as well. That's me time. Because I think at the moment, when you think about me time, a lot of people means that's isolated solitude. Whereas for me, I have that quite a lot because of my job. So now I really enjoy that kind of time of just chilling with my kids and remembering that in spite of the world feeling a little bit outsourced right now, you know, it's amazing that we've created these beings, and it's amazing that they've become who they are. So all of that stuff really helps.
Oh, Emma, Kenny, you just made me feel on top of the world. You just put everything into perspective. I feel so much clearer, so much better. I could just talk to you forever. Thank you so much.
If only we were with each other. If only we were there. Thanks for everybody joining me as well. I've really enjoyed it.
I know. Well, when I see you, I'm going to give you the biggest hug. Pip, thank you very much for being our community manager. And thank you, everyone, for joining in. Thank you, everyone, for joining in today. It really means a lot. I hope you've enjoyed your walk to wellness. I'm soaking, so I'm going to go home and get dry now. But love you, everybody. Sending lots of love. Love you, love you, Pip, and love you, WW family. Take care.
Bye, guys.